What is going on YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today we're showing off a deck that I have done on the channel many times, but I haven't done it in a while and I wanted to update it, and that is For Hire. For Hire has been one of those decks that actually has been really popular on the channel and I haven't updated it in a while, but with the format today I was like, man, there needs to be an OTK deck and I don't think there's a deck that specializes in that, and so I thought For Hire. So for today's video, we're doing a For Hire deck profile. I'm gonna make it the most competitive version that I thought of that could compete with today's metagame. It's also, funny enough, a pretty budget version. Other than a couple cards that I'm going to show you substitutes for, it actually is more or less a budget version. So I hope you guys enjoy. And if you do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also, let me know in the comment section down below if there's anything that you would change in the deck, because I love getting you guys' opinion. So if you guys think you should change anything, or if you guys know the deck better than I do, or if you guys have any spicy cards you guys like to play in the deck, also let me know down in the comment section down below. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, because I think like 80-something% of you guys are not subscribing who are viewing the channel. So I appreciate every single one of you guys who subscribes and supports the channel. It keeps me doing this kind of stuff. And so I hope you guys enjoy. With that, guys, off to the video. Okay, so as you guys can see for the deck here, obviously you guys can see that it is a go second heavy build. Now, this is what I think the deck does really well, and I really wanted to capitalize on what I thought it did best. And obviously going second OTK is what this deck does best. Swarming the board is really good. So we're playing double Raphael, one Wiz, one Dinah, as well as one Sajida. Now, these are what I consider the big For Hire monsters, because they don't special summon other cards when they're on the field. These are pretty much the monsters you're going to be wanting to special summon off of these smaller ones. So I call these the big boys. And Raphael is really good because obviously attack wise he's the biggest attack, but also on top of that you can excavate the number of cards from your deck equal to the number of For Hire monsters you control, and then you can add one to your hand, right? And then another thing that's really cool is when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can discard a For Hire card and then negate the activation. So the nice thing is he kind of gets a For Hire card from your deck with his original effect so that you can get a negate, right? So he sets himself up, which is really good. Also going second, if your opponent like wants to stop you halfway through your combo, right? Let's say throughout the combo or throughout, you special summoning, your opponent's like, okay, Savage Dragon. Well, that's why Raphael is really clutch, because he is a monster negate. Wiz is really good because Wiz is actually a spell negate. So when your opponent activates a spell or trap card, discard a For Hire card, negate the activation. So that's why Wiz is really good. On top of that, when she's special summoned, we can gain 500 life points for each For Hire monster. That could be relevant. I mean, especially going into time, that could be relevant. Dinah is really good. Dinah banishes 2 cards from your opponent's graveyard. However, by the time you're special summoning him, like your opponent has already set up their board, so hitting stuff from their graveyard at this point is not that great. Even though his effect in theory is amazing, it's not really practical for this build, right? And then Sajida is also really good. You burn when she's special summoned, and that's pretty much what she is, but she's just more or less a bigger beater, right? Also, your opponent can't target your For Hire monster with card effects other than her, so she does provide a form of protection, but she's mostly just used to link climb. That's most of what the For Hire monsters do for you. They just help you link climb. Then we're playing triple Bravo, triple Seal, triple Beat. Beat is obviously one of your more important ones. It's your Stratos. When you summon him and another one is summoned, you can search. You got double Helmer. Now they all have their own unique effects, which you guys can all read. Bravo, I think he just boosts the attack of all your For Hire monsters until the end of the turn. Seal returns something from your graveyard to your hand, so Seal is pretty important. Beat, like I said, is a Stratos. Helmer is really good because when another one is special summoned, you can draw a card and discard a card, so it's kind of good because it kind of resets your hand or whatever you need. Now, Recon and Dompa are insane. Like, these cards are really good, and that's why you guys are going to see this side deck right over here. This is not actually a side deck, but it's just another option for you guys to play, and I'll get into it when I get into some other cards. But Dompa and Recon are really good. So Recon pops any set card, so it doesn't have to be actual spell or traps. It could be monsters as well, as long as they're set. And then Dompa pops face-up cards. Now again, it could be a face-up field spell, just any face-up card on the field. So that's why Dompa and Recon are really good, especially going second. It just helps clear your opponent's board, and it just helps get rid of cards, right? So that's why these are really good. I'm also only playing double Philo. All of the For Hire monsters, I should say, let you special summon another For Hire monster from your hand. So if you control a Beat, you can activate its effect to special summon any other For Hire, and then another For Hire is going to let you special summon. So that's why you kind of can spam the board. That's kind of the gimmick here. But Philo is really good because you can target a For Hire monster in your graveyard and special summon in defense position. So it's really good because it does provide you an extender, and once you link climb, like it helps you link climb pretty much, because once you link climb, you summon a Philo, summon back another For Hire monster, and then you can continue link climbing. So Philo is pretty good, but we're only playing double because she's only really good when you have other for hires in your hand. She's not really a starter for you, so that's why you really just wanted to play 2 of her. And then obviously, since we're going second, we're playing triple Nibiru, one of the most important cards going second nowadays. Everything's a combo deck, it seems, so you really need to play Nibiru. It doesn't hurt your deck at all either, because you are going second and your focus is to just go second. So once you clear your opponent's board, you can OTK super easily with this deck. So just being able to Nibiru and stop your opponent is very important. Then we're playing double Mayhem. So Mayhem is pretty much just a monster reborn for hires. You special summon in defense position, but it's a once per turn, so we're only playing double. But it is a quick play, which is kind of nice. So if you don't end up OTKing your opponent, you can just set it and then, you know, have it for next turn. You also playing 1 monster reborn. I should put that over here, but you are playing 1 monster reborn. So it's pretty much a monster reborn. So you're pretty much playing triple monster reborn for the deck, I should say. So I mean, it's really good in that sense. Triple extravagance, because although yes, you like to link climb, you really only need 1 turn to OTK your opponent. So that extra card that extravagance brings you is very important. And as you guys can see, we're playing doubles of everything in the extra deck. I mean, other than the underclock taker, but you're really playing doubles of everything else in the extra deck so that you can always resolve the extravagance and then be able to OTK your opponent. Most of the time, you're going to be going into Boral Sword. There are times where you go into Access Code as well. Helps you really OTK, makes it really easy. So that's why extravagance is really important, just a +1. Rhoda, because it searches your beat, and like I said, beat is one of your most important ones, so that's why you're playing the 1 Rhoda. We are playing triple Lightning Storm. Now, this is what I wanted to talk about. Lightning Storm is insane in these rogue decks, bro. Like, I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen one of the best top-tier competitive decks playing Lightning Storm. People don't play this card, and the reason for that is because a lot of the best decks, quote-unquote best like meta decks, they really handle a lot of situations within their own archetype or within themselves, right? A lot of the time, these rogue decks don't do that, and that's why Lightning Storm is so important in rogue decks. However, this card is still like a $100 card. I get it, it's expensive, right? So if you guys don't have access to Lightning Storm, Book of Moon is such a good card for you. Now, 100%, I really wanted to make this like a quote-unquote budget deck. It's very budget outside of Lightning Storm, to be completely honest with you. Imperm, I think, is a little bit cheaper now because it got a gold reprint as well. And I know Extravagance is cheaper because of the Mega Pack reprint. So these two are pretty much cheap now and pretty much affordable. Lightning Storm, however, is still very expensive. And it's so weird for me because it's only, in my opinion, really good in those rogue decks. Like, a lot of rogue decks need it, especially these go second like OTK decks. So I definitely think if you have access to Lightning Storm, playing Lightning Storm. If you don't, Book of Moon is fine. And the reason why I'm saying Book of Moon is fine is because you have your recon. So people have to keep in mind that if you Book of Moon your opponent, one, it could actually stop their mid combo. I should say that. Like, if you end up setting this card and then your opponent's trying to combo, like, it could stop them mid combo, right? Let's say they need to link summon or they need to synchro summon and you just book their monster and then you're there like, okay, well, now I don't know what to do, right? If Virtual World is randomly making like a calamities on you or something, and then you see 2 level 9s on the board and you book one, and then they're like, oh, well, now I can't make it calamities, right? Kind of thing. It's just really good because Book of Moon has a lot of versatility. So if you really wanted to, and if you guys don't have access to Lightning Storm, definitely play Book of Moon. Recon is also really good with Book of Moon because pops a set card. Doesn't have to be a spell trap, just any set card on the field. So you can set one of your opponent's monsters, summon Recon, pop it, right? So that's why Book of Moon is really good. You could just replace 3 for 3 Lightning Storm for Book of Moon, and it's just as good, right? But Lightning Storm is a great card, so if you do have access to this, obviously play this because it gets rid of the back row heavy decks as well. And then obviously because we're going second and everything is a combo deck and everything is break my board, 5 negate deck, we are playing Forbidden Chalice as well as Imperm. Chalice is really good because it just negates a card. So like, let's say you're mid combo and you're about to OTK your opponent, and then you're like, okay, well, all I need to do is pop a card and then let me just like recon or let me Dompa, and then my opponent's like, okay, well, I'll negate your Dompa. It's like, well, no, you're not, because I'm going to Chalice you. So Chalice is really good in that sense. Going second is really good. It helps you out boards like Calamity boards, Savage boards, etc., etc. And then Imperm obviously is just, it's a better version of Chalice, but they pretty much do the same thing. So you're playing 5 Imperm effectively. So what I want to say is pretty much like, if your opponent is comboing, right, there's 2 ways to go about it, especially with this deck. It does it really well, is that you can stop your opponent from comboing with your Imperm as well as your Nibiru, and technically Chalice doesn't stop them from comboing, but it kind of breaks the board. And then the other option is just what I said, is breaking the board. So Lightning Storm is there for you to break the board, Chalice helps you break the board, Recon helps you break the board, Dompa helps you break the board. If you guys don't play Lightning Storm and Book of Moon also helps you break the board. So that's why there's 2 ways to go about this deck. Because you're playing the core and the core itself can OTK, you're doing 2 other things: disrupting your opponent as well as breaking your opponent's board. Now, you guys might be wondering, Spanko, why are you not playing Ash Blossom? You could be playing Ash Blossom. There's no reason you can't play Ash Blossom, to be completely honest with you. I just thought that, like, you know, Ash is really good and you guys can play it in a lot of situations, but I've just noticed that Ash is not impactful enough now. Like, you can Ash your opponent, sure, and it'll like slow them down a little bit, but it's just not impactful enough where they'll get this deck going, like, you know what I mean? So if I Ash my opponent, they can still make a combo and they can still make a board, right? Whereas the thing is with Imperm is if my opponent makes that board I can just imperm on my turn. You don't have to imperm your opponent on their turn, by the way. You guys should keep that in mind. You don't always have to be like, oh, like this is a good time to imperm, let me imperm. It's like if you know your opponent's gonna make the full combo anyways, you can sit and wait. Let's say your opponent makes like a Calamities or something, right? And then in your standby phase, they're like, okay, Calamities attack. Then you can just literally activate the imperm and then negate the Calamities, right? So you don't always have to use the imperm on your opponent's turn. You can hold it and use it to break boards too, right? So that's why I just thought imperm, chalice and stuff was more important. If you guys wanted to change the chalice for an Ashe, you guys could do that. So play double Ashe here. But again, I just thought that Ashe wasn't impactful enough. I know it's so weird to say that Ashe isn't impactful enough, right? But I just thought that Ashe wasn't impactful enough because even if your opponent makes like 1 to 2 negates, this deck has a very hard time playing around it. So that's why you really wanted to play these break my board cards. And then for the extra deck, I should say, is just double Boral Sword, double Axis Code, double Folgo, double Nightmare Unicorn, double Phoenix, double Lambda, double Cerberus, as well as 1 Underclock Taker. I should also say that like it literally doesn't matter what you play. These are just to link climb up to the Boral Sword or the Access Code, to be completely honest with you. So you're just playing all these cards because once you get access to a Boral Sword, like if you have a Boral Sword and Raphael on the field, you're safe. Like you're so good, right? Now I should mention that if you are playing the Book of Moon instead of the Lightning Storm, I do recommend playing a Pentastag over like the Underclock Taker. And the only reason I say that is because it helps you do piercing damage. So sometimes you can sit on a Pentastag with like a monster that's booked, and then you can just like, you know, do piercing damage there. So if you are playing the Book of Moon, I would recommend maybe playing 1 Pentastag, maybe taking away the Underclock Taker or cutting 1 Lambda for it. It's just, these are all generic cards that you make for the Boral Sword, so it really doesn't matter what you take out. It's just, yeah, I do recommend playing a Pentastag if you are just playing the Book of Moon. So I just wanted to show you this extra little package that you guys can play as well, right? So that's it for the main deck and the extra deck. Really, it's very standard, I would say, but then the deck is really good. I think you just really have to focus on breaking your opponent's boards, and then being able to OTK is very simple in this deck. Even opening like 2 for higher monsters, 2 to 3, you're in such a good position. Let's say you open like a beat plus like a recon, you're in such a good position. So I definitely think that this deck is underrated. It's a really good going second deck, and if you can like get a Nibiru off, get an Imperm off, and break your opponent's board, you're pretty much gonna OTK every time. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. That was my take on the For Hire OTK deck. Now I think it's going to be a sleeper deck, and I don't think a lot of people are playing it or giving it much thought, but I think this deck has a lot of potential to OTK. Like I said, you really want to be able to break your opponent's boards. On top of that, you wanted to make them make very minimal boards, if that makes sense, and then this way you can just link climb and OTK. The deck does it super easily. The deck does it super well. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you guys do have any suggestions, let me know in the comment section down below. I love to hear you guys' suggestions. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and that's all I gotta say. So Spanko, signing out. Yeah. Peace.
My hands steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this. Cross my shit.